Welcome, everybody. This is our Tuesday evening introduction to Lifewave and the star of our show, X39, along with our special guest doctor. Tonight it is Dr. Walter Young. And what we do on this call, and oh, by the way, I'm your host, Robin Blank Mascari. On this call, we give an introduction to the history of the company, a little bit about the technology, and a little history on our owner. Then we open things up for our special guest and doctor this evening, Dr. Walter Young, and I'll do an introduction when it's his turn. And then it's your turn. We turn things over to you. If you have a question, please write it in the chat. If you have a story to share, please raise your hand, and only if it's a story, raise your hand. Okay, that helps me organize things. So I really appreciate you doing that. And to start off the program, we're going to bring on Gregory. But before I do that, many of you are brand new to looking at Lifewave for the first time. So we want to give you a special warm welcome. So thanks for taking a look at something that is truly historic. So now I'm going to turn things over to my partner, my darling, dear Gregory. Over to you.
All right. Thanks, Robin, and good evening, everyone. And it's my honor and privilege to be able to give you a brief overview of Lifewave, the stem cell revolution, and X39, and a little bit about our founder, David Schmidt. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let the show begin. And we're here tonight. I had an awakening a few years ago, and my awakening was this. I finally figured out what I want to be when I get older, younger, okay? And welcome to the stem cell revolution, because certainly everyone wants to look, feel, perform, and live younger, and stem cells are the key because they're a vital part of our immune system that helps to repair and regenerate damaged cells in all of our organs, glands, tissues, bones, everywhere. Stem cells are the key. And the problem is, the older we get, the fewer stem cells we have and the less active they are. And by age 60, only a small percentage remain. And they're kind of a little sleepy and not doing their job so well. And, you know, sadly, the fewer stem cells we have, the faster we age and the slower we heal. So what about stem cell injections? They've become pretty popular, but they're also very expensive, very painful, risky, controversial, no guaranteed results. But, you know, what if there was an alternative? And the good news is you can look, feel, perform, heal, and live younger with this historic breakthrough in stem cell technology. It's a new wearable technology in patch form. It's affordable, safe, non-invasive, it's non-drug oriented, it's non-transdermal. It's a patented form of phototherapy. We're going to talk about that in just a few more minutes. It uses specific frequencies of light to increase and improve our stem cell activity. And it is the brainchild of our visionary founder and CEO, David Schmidt. And David Schmidt is not only a brilliant scientist and researcher, he's also a genius inventor with over 100 patents and patent pendings. And he's been on the leading edge of phototherapy research and science for over 20 years. David's already conducted over 90 clinical studies proving the efficacy of Lifewave phototherapy products, and many more clinical studies are in the works. This is a very solid science-based company. In fact, we really are a 16, almost 17-year-old advanced technology company on the leading edge of health sciences. It was founded in 2004 based on an energy-enhancing technology that David developed under a contract with the Navy SEALs to increase their strength, stamina, and their performance without drugs, stimulants, or caffeine. The technology in the product was so effective, it's now used by world-class athletes all around the world in almost every sport. And I'm proud to say we have corporate headquarters, laboratory, and manufacturing spread between California, Utah, and Ireland. We also have global distribution to over 75 countries from 14 global distribution centers. So we are a global force. So how does this amazing technology work? And as I said, it's based on a type of phototherapy called photobiomodulation. And Lifewave patches contain very specific combinations of organic materials and nanocrystals. And when they're applied or near our body, they're activated by our body heat, and then they begin to re-emit very specific wavelengths of light, which stimulate targeted beneficial biochemical responses in our body. This is known as photobiomodulation, and it is the basis of our Lifewave phototherapy patches. Now, it's been a well-recognized and proven scientific principle that specific frequencies of light can can cause specific changes within our body. And when, for example, when we go out in the sun, a specific frequency of light causes our body to make vitamin D. We're not getting a vitamin D download from the sun. We're getting a frequency download, and our body makes the vitamin D. And likewise, another frequency of sunlight causes our body to make melanin, the chemical that gives us a suntan. Well, Lifewave's patented technology is based on the same rock-solid, well-recognized scientific principle. And I'm happy to say for the last 11 years, anti-aging and regenerative science has been our focus. And in January of 2019, a little over 2 years ago, we released to the global market the Lifewave X39 stem cell activation patch. And this truly is a historic breakthrough in affordable stem cell technology. And some are calling it the holy grail of anti-aging restorative science, because we're doing what the multi-billion-dollar companies and big pharma have not been able to do. And that is X39 actually activates a very specific copper peptide that activates our stem cells. In addition, also alters gene expression of thousands of genes towards a younger and more vibrant you. And yes, we have patents. Yes, we have clinical studies. And yes, we have tremendous field results proving that X39 is actually turning back our biological clock, helping people to look, feel, perform, heal, and live younger. And for us baby boomers, this is very exciting news. So Robin, that's my short summary, and I'm just gonna, stop sharing my screen and turn it back over to you to introduce our good doctor today.
Oh, thank you, Gregory. That is a wonderful presentation, and I know everybody loves it. This is a very special company at a very special time. Since X39 was introduced, we've had some tremendous growth in the company. 13% month over month is very exciting for lots of us because the results from these products. So let me introduce our special guest tonight. He is someone who I've really enjoyed getting to know. He comes from an allopathic world. He was a pre-med undergrad, went into nursing, and then took a different direction, and he went into Eastern medicine. He went over to China and actually went there to investigate traditional Chinese medicine, fell in love with it, and now he's a nationally accredited acupuncture physician. He practices out of Boulder and lives in that area. He is available for consults. He's been with Lifewave for a while now and loves the products. We're going to hear from him in just a minute. And I love what he says. He goes, practitioners have an obligation to be open and to share research technologies that take our patients to a paradigm shift in their healthcare. So there we have it. I want to welcome Dr. Walt.
Can you see me?
Oh my goodness, you're global. You're intergalactic.
That's what you wanted.
I love it. Well, welcome, Dr. Walt. So wonderful to be with you. Yes.
Wonderful to be here again. Yes.
Oh, you got a nice haircut too.
Yeah, finally.
We see each other regularly here. So let's jump in here. As a physician, as an acupuncture physician, there are not very many of those. What is it that got you interested to even look at Lifewave and then take the next step and start incorporating it into your practice?
It really was because David was interested in our medicine, Chinese medicine, and the meridian system. So he had an understanding that our meridian system that is on top of our body is almost like a nervous system for the deeper central nervous system. And by actually stimulating certain points, we can tell the body to do certain things. And so that's exactly what Lifewave does. So sometimes I don't even have to do acupuncture if I'm, treating somebody for pain management or things like that. So that, that's really why, because it's a perfect fit for acupuncture.
I love that. That you don't even have to put the needles inside. Yeah. You can give people pain relief benefits. So stem cells. It's in the news. It's all over the place. People hear about it. A lot of people really couldn't really explain it. So could you give just a thumbnail? Why are stem cells so important in our health?
Well, the first reason they're important is because we need them throughout our life, but as we age, they go down, based on a lot of things. We live in a pre-industrial society, so we're breathing a lot of pollutants, we're taking in, ingesting pollutants. So these stem cells are working really hard, but as I said, the aging process really puts us behind the 8 ball. So the stem cells, I like to call them mother cells instead, because in Spanish they're called células madres. And that makes more sense. It's a mother cell that can become anything in the body it needs to become to heal it if there's any kind of damage. So that's vital for, my age. I'm 69, I'm knocking on the door of 70 in 6 months. So I want to keep myself as healthy, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically as I can. And these are a very cost-effective way of doing all of this. And it's not something that is brouhaha. David has taken, he's very proud of all the research and development that he does, and I am too. That's one of the big reasons that I got back into it and made it part of, the routine with my patients.
That's so beautiful. So when we're young, we have a lot of them. When we're older, we have less, and they're not as active.
Yeah.
So let's talk about X39, the star of the show. What are some things that people can expect from, and I wanted everyone to see what the patch looks like. It's just about the size of a quarter, and it has some interesting ingredients in the middle, and you just kind of put it on one of those meridian spots. So why don't you talk about a little bit of what people can expect from using this technology?
Yeah, expectations can vary from person to person, because here in the West, we want things to happen yesterday. So, vitality is something that you can experience, but vitality is very subjective. But when people see that they're sleeping better, when they do equate more energy, or I've heard from a couple of my patients say, and these are people that are my age group or older, say they are now bouncing out of bed with no pain, no aches. They don't have to, do their knee bends. Other things can be a mental clarity. I've heard a lot about that. But I really, really wait. I don't tell the patients really. I try not to give them the literature so that it doesn't interfere with their belief system. I want to hear from them what's going on. And all of my patients are required to do homework. Like today, I just had a new one that I want them to journal. Tell me what you're feeling. Well, what should I feel? I'm not going to tell you. That's going to, right? It's going to, it's invalidating it. I want them to tell me what they're feeling. And sometimes, especially with pain management, as you know, Robin, we go after 2 things, pain management and insomnia first. If you don't get those under wraps, the person is not going to heal correctly because they're excreting a lot of hormones like cortisone and other things that they don't need for healing. So when I can see a person immediately who has pain, and I'm putting a patch not on their skin, but putting it on their clothes with paper tape, and they say, "What did you just do?" I don't have any pain. So then I start my talk. So, and that's happened, frequently, really frequently. Today, one of my neighbors was walking by, and I asked him if he knew anybody that was a good sprinkler person, because my sprinkler's on the fritz. And he was walking his little dog, and I bent down, and he said, "Oh, he can't see you or hear you. He's old." And I said, "Oh, hold on, I'll be right back." So I went out, I got an X39. I just briefly talked to him about it, and I showed him mine on the back of my neck, and I put it on his collar, and I said, "Just let me know what happens." So we'll see what happens in the next day or two if they see he perks up or something.
It's so wonderful that it works on animals of all kinds. We have stories, everything from dogs and cats and horses to fish and guinea pigs and tortoises. I mean,
I didn't know about the fish and the guinea pigs.
Oh, Fluffy the guinea pig is one of my favorite stories. I'll tell that sometime. It's and there's no placebo effect with animals.
There is no placebo effect. Exactly.
Right.
That's
So
how acupuncture became popular.
So this is a non-transdermal patch, which means it doesn't go into the body. There's nothing going into the body. Is there anyone who shouldn't use it? Are there any contraindications?
Yes, and the contraindications are any kind of organ transplant, because we don't want to mess around with or, foul up the immune system at that point. They have to, they're the ones, just that, organ transplant people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, because they do enhance your immune system, which is really important these days. It's
very
always important.
Totally important.
Totally important.
Yep.
And what are the optimal conditions for people to get maximum effectiveness of using this technology, Dr. Walt?
So consistency is a big one. Use it at least 12 hours a day, every day. The second one is you do really need to hydrate yourself, especially in areas like myself, where I'm in a mile-high city, and when I go to Taos, I'm at 7,800 feet. So I have to really hydrate myself, because our cells are bathed in a salt-like solution, and if we're not putting water in, it's not going to be. We're definitely an alkaline battery, and we need to hydrate.
Really good to know.
Yeah.
So what else do you want to let people know about the X39 that I missed? What's important?
I don't think you missed anything. The only other thing is the whole thing about the biophotons. That's something that has been researched for a long time. And we first, I think, discovered it back in the 70s. But just like a laser, you all know what a laser is, but a laser is light that's been really amplified, and it's coherent. Just like a tube that carries light with information. So these little patches, when we're giving off our energy or our infrared energy, our heat, when it hits the patch, it bounces back with a message, a chemical type of message to do something. And that's why the GHC copper peptide is important. That becomes, I like to think of it as the food that starts to activate. It's like, come and get the pizza, it's here. And they're ready to eat and start to become activated. And the more they're activated, the more they can figure out where we need to go, what kind of inflammation is going on, what cytokine storm is going on, and where. And you might feel a little punky if it is trying to get rid of something that's in your body that shouldn't be there. And that's when I say, don't take it off. If you have to take it off, but drink your water, put it back on. But I try to have them go right through it with drinking water. But it's doing something. These things are always doing something, and you know that. So I think that's a big thing for people in the audience to realize. If something isn't happening, it is happening. It's just not the thing you want it to happen right now. It's identified something else more life affirming than just getting rid of your pain.
That's really valuable to know, because some people say, well, I'm not noticing anything. And what we know is stem cells have this like innate wisdom. They're going to go to what's most important.
That's right.
And, like I wanted my knee pain to go away, and it took a week for me to notice something, but it was probably working on something else in my body, like the damaged lung tissue from years ago. And so they have this wisdom to just go to where the greatest inflammation or the most life-threatening damage is in our bodies, and work on that first. And we may not know that we have a vital organ that has damage in it.
And we've heard stories about that.
Yes, we have. And you mentioned something really important that I forgot to bring up. So thank you so much. We invite everyone to research the copper peptide GHK-Cu. We call X39 our stem cell activation patch, but that's only one of the things it does. It does so much more, because what it does is activate that copper peptide. And here's the book written by the man who discovered it, Dr. Lauren Picard, GHK copper peptide. And it says, for skin and hair beauty, resetting your genes to youth, because over 4,000 genes get reset to a younger you. That's one of the wonderful things. So athletic performance improves, pain reduces, inflammation reduces, immunity increases, overall well-being. And I always like to mention, because a lot of our audience is in our age range, Dr. Walt, and cognitive function. Will you address that for just a minute, and then we'll open things up for our participants?
Sure, even with cognition, these cells will help. You know, as most of you all know, I've had 6 strokes, and because of Chinese medicine, I got through them, you know, very, very easily. But the last time I had mine I did have X39 around and some of the others. So I've used those, and I could see the difference when it happened, how I was feeling cognitive wise. More alertness. I have one gentleman who's in his 70s, says he can now do the New York Times
Crossword puzzle.
crossword puzzle. And so he sees it. I mean, there's a lot of people that say the lights have gone on. You know, some people with literally within minutes say, I feel something, you know, what's going on in the brains, you know, I'm thinking clear, I'm happier, those kind of things. So it does happen with even cognition.
Beautiful. And we do have a recent study. We have clinical studies that are available for anyone who wants to look at them on lifewave.com. And you scroll down to where you'll see the first video, and off to the right are the clinicals. And then one of the more recent ones is on cognitive function, like Dr. Walt mentions, you know, memory, mental clarity, reaction time, all of those things are cognitive functions that a lot of people have some concern as we, you know, move up into our elder years, shall we say. So let's move on to our participants. So this is the time for you to ask questions, to share your stories. We love to hear your stories. We love your questions. Please remember that we're not here to treat, heal, diagnose anything. We're a natural product. And so refrain from any mention of any dis-ease, and symptoms only. If you have a great story, you know, what it was like before, what your limitations were, what patch you used, and now, you know, the freedoms that you have that you didn't have before. So let's see here. So you can put your questions in the chat and I will start taking them. So the first question is from Gayla, and she says, can you use X39 during pregnancy and IVF?
Yes, I don't see any problem with pregnancy and IVF. It's helping the immune system. The woman definitely needs a strong immune system while she's pregnant, or if you're going through in vitro fertilization. Definitely.
Okay, so I do want to respond. If you call the company, there's no product company that's going to test products on pregnant women. So because in protection of themselves, they will say no. But they're totally safe, and like Dr. Walt says, so if you call the company, they will say that just because they don't do any testing, and they will always respond on what they have clinical tests for. That, as Dr. Walt said, it's safe. We have our garden helper when she was pregnant, and a lot of pregnant women have that low back pain from carrying all the weight up front, and she comes in my office, she goes, I need my ice wave patches. and or she's having a headache, she goes, please help. Okay, so let's see. Wendy says, what do you suggest for sleep when X39 and Silent Night have not improved my sleep?
I would start to look at the energy enhancer at the bottom of your feet, because they're going to open up the channels. But now, because of all the other research that David has shared with us, most Americans have inflammatory process in their body. Because of what we eat and breathe, like you heard. I would start to use the Eon patch also. And I don't know, you know, putting it on the side of behind your ear on the soft tissue, I would put the Eon patch there. And on the other side, I mean, on this side, I put the Eon, that's the left. And on the right, I would put the X39, see what happens with that.
Great suggestion. And in addition to that, David did a wonderful sleep webinar, and you can find that in the YouTube channel and in our Facebook group. And he talks about creating the conditions in your home for healthy sleep, and the several different patches. A lot of people like Alavita for sleep. They get great dreams. You know, there's 4 different patches that can really help with sleep. And Eon is a great one, like Dr. Walt said, especially if people are feeling stressed, because it calms the body down so well. Okay, yep. Let's see. Jacobed is asking, can we use the patches on children?
I don't see why not. And I'll tell you, I have a 4-year-old and I have a 7-year-old that we just put the patches on. And the 7-year-old is female, and she's been getting a lot of headaches, and they don't know what the headaches are from. Well, since she's been on the patches, she said to her mother, who then called me, she said, I'm not having that many headaches anymore. And in 2 weeks, instead of having them almost every day waking up, she's had only 3. So yes, you can use them on children also.
Okay, so I'm gonna,
We don't know with children anymore, how healthy they really are coming into this type of world. I mean, we now know that there's over 300, chemicals that the mother is carrying in her body. And one of the big bad ones is glyphosate. And we know that stem cell from the blood is already contaminated with glyphosate. So we don't know how these children are coming in. That's the new terror for a lot of physicians. So help them out as much as you can.
Thank you for that. And David Schmidt's answer to that one would be, as long as they can verbally communicate, then the patches are safe. Again, if you call customer service, they're going to say 18 and over. And that's because they don't test the product on children. So these are just good to know things. So Tammy is saying, I have no excess fat to burn. Can I use energy enhancer patches even though I've heard they burn fat?
Sure. I mean, I really don't know if you're going to lose the fat. You're going to have to try to find out, first of all, are you trying to lose weight? And then why aren't you losing weight?
She has no excess fat to burn. So she's wondering if it's okay because they do burn fat.
Oh, okay. I get it. So these are always going to bring you back to homeostasis. So if you don't need to lose fat, it's not going to burn fat. It may do some of the other things that it's going to do for you. Just like the energy enhancer, it may not make me want to run a mile, but I know it's opening up my meridian system so that I can heal and I can have a more effective X39 experience instead of being blocked somewhere.
Beautiful, beautiful. So energy enhancer opens up the energy flow in our body, and we need energy to do any kind of healing.
Right.
Okay, great. And Mary Nelson, please restate your question without a disease name, and then we'll answer that. And Anne Morrow's asking from her friend Eddie, I am an office guy. I work 60 hours a week on a computer. This weekend, like many, I worked out on a friend's farm. Usually after that, I'm exhausted and hurt for a couple of days when I get back to the office. Today, I only hurt in the morning, and by the afternoon, with these patches, all my discomfort was gone. Oh, how wonderful.
Was that X39?
Yeah, Anne, let us know if that was X39, okay? All right. Denise mentioned that you mentioned that you had 6 strokes. I had one when I was 28, and only residual difficulties is disorientation. I'm not going to state it. Could silent nights cause any problems with someone who has had a stroke?
Silent night? Absolutely not. I don't see why that would. I've used it, and my strokes are due to a hereditary blood disorder that I inherited from my father's side. So I have to be super, super careful of my stress level. And that's what, the first one was because of an accident, a car accident with broken bones and stuff like that. But the other ones were definitely because of this damn stress. That's the #1 killer.
Ian to the rescue.
Yeah, Ian to the rescue.
Love Ian. Yeah. Okay. Anne is saying, any ideas if there's a correlation or suggestion for my blood IGF going down since starting the patches? I feel great, but want to assure my doctor.
Well, the IGF, if it's going down, it may be going to a normal level. You may be returning to homeostasis, which is fine. That's what you want. We want a little bit of IgG there, but I don't know what your level was to begin with, and is it going down to more of a normal? So remember, these patches are not going to create any kind of havoc. They're not designed that way. It will return you to a homeostasis, a balancing of the body.
Beautiful. And it's really good to know that the company's been around for over 16 years. No one's ever been hurt.
No one.
And because the body won't hurt itself, the patches don't do the work. It's the frequency of light helping the body do what Dr. Walt says, going back to homeostasis. And so, question from Dexter. Was there any user that has had their eyesight improve after using the patches?
I don't know of any users that have had their eyesight get better. I don't know them personally. I have heard that that has happened. I've heard that some people with floaters, the floaters have gotten better. On our website, there's a cute little dog who had cataracts that went away. So remember, anything is possible when you give your body what it knows to do with, it's going to change things. You know, this is like with acupuncture. You know, I can't hurt a person. If I put in the wrong prescription of needles, it's not going to hurt the person. They're not going to get any benefit. And they're going to say, the worst thing that they say to me is acupuncture doesn't work. Well, yes, it does. It's the same way with it. It's not going to cause a problem, you know, unless I puncture a lung and you get a pneumothorax. But these things are for, you know, homeostasis. They're trying to help you keep really healthy and youthful.
Okay, great. And Anne was mentioning that the gentleman that had the great experience, he was using X39, Icewave, and Eon. So that's wonderful.
Okay, very good.
Brenda wants to know, are there any points to not use during pregnancy?
Any points not to use during pregnancy?
The patches.
I know the points not to use for acupuncture, but I would still stay on the lower back, the back of the neck, and below the belly button, and that's fine, you know. And if you're afraid of using those, put it on your shoulder, put it on either shoulder, because the X39 really you can put it anywhere. You know, you can put it on the front of your forehead if you want to.
Great.
So, yeah.
Now, I did hear, Dr. Walt, that there is a point that will stimulate labor.
Yes.
So you probably don't want to put the patches there unless you're ready for that.
Exactly. And you know what? I don't really know. There's been no conclusive studies about putting a patch, you know, on spleen 6 or, you know, bladder 67 that's going to stimulate. I don't believe that these patches would stimulate that. Then there's an issue. Then there's like, okay, we got to do research on this because these are strong little suckers.
They look innocuous, but oh my gosh, they're powerful.
They're strong, but yeah,
they're very powerful. Let's see. Jacobet is also asking, what patches would be best for a 13-year-old that's suffering social anxiety and sensory processing challenges? And can they benefit from this?
Yes, they can. I would start with the X39 on the back of the neck so it can go up into the brain. Well, let's see what cognitive things happen. And then really, I don't know very much about the patient, but start with the Eon, the anti-inflammatory one, because that's going to lower inflammatory markers. That sometimes those are the things that will really, you know, cause havoc in our system. We don't want to have all this inflammation. And his stress level or her stress level, whichever one, that's something that you're going to have to, you know, address also. I mean, really, we cannot expect that these patches are going to do everything by themselves. They're a big help, and especially this X39 is a huge, huge help. But you got to look at other things also and bring the patches into your protocol. If you have to go to a doctor, you tell them this is what we're using, show him, let him know, go to PubMed.gov and look up GHK, you know, dash copper peptide, so you can see the healing. I mean, if they're not willing to do that, get another doctor, because physicians that stay in their box, those are people that are going to be of the past. We need to progress further. We are evolving, and everybody's got to evolve together. This is scientific proof.
Beautiful. So speaking of that, if someone wants to do a consult with you, what would the phone number be?
575-770-9953. The email, let me give you email, because sometimes if I look down and I see that it's not somebody I know, or they're saying it's from some city in Utah, I don't answer it. So my email is W, a small w, 22852 @
Great. And I spoke with someone yesterday that has been doing consults with you that is beyond thrilled, beyond thrilled. So
That's-
thank you so much for that.
Cool.
And so at this time, we're going to conclude our call. So first of all, thank you everyone for taking the time to be with us this evening. You know, if you're someone who's here for the very first time, please get back to the person that invited you. We have a really wonderful customer program. And if you're the kind of person that likes to share, we have a very generous compensation for people that like to share. We're in the sharing and caring business. And Dr. Walt, it's always a treat to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody.
Okay. Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye.
Good night.